My name is Aaron Holm. I'm with Ottobock, North America. I'm the manager of consumer engagement, and this is the Ask Aaron program, and I'm thrilled to welcome John Robinson, managing partner, CEO of Our Ability. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Aaron. Happy to be here.
John was scheduled to be part of the South by Southwest panel, along with some other panelists, and I was to be the moderator this year, that a sponsored event that Ottobock had at South by Southwest in Austin. And when that was canceled, I was really disappointed because we had talked a little bit and had some great conversations, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to share your story with Our Ability, your personal story as well. And so I'm glad that we were able to make this happen.
Well, thanks, Aaron. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. When we first talked, you introduced yourself and then you talked about Our Ability, and something that really caught my attention was you stated that Our Ability simplified is the LinkedIn for people with disabilities. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's kind of the joke, right? We're a tech company and I can't make my iPad work with Instagram. So, I'm still 50 and it shows. Yeah, I started this organization about 10 years ago as a way to connect. And the connection is individuals with disabilities on one side and employment on the other. Because I know that employment has made such a dramatic impact on my life. And I remember very clearly the 4.5 years being unemployed after college. And so I really wanted to do something good. I enjoyed my ultimate 16-year career in television that I had, but I really wanted to give back to the community of people with disabilities. And the way I could do that was helping build a bridge to employment. And so to do that, we wanted to build a website where individuals with disabilities on one side can tell us who they are, build their profile, enhance their skills, and then on the other side, very quickly have companies that we work with find candidates, because companies need candidates, and the unemployment for people with disabilities is so high. So that's what we do, and we're proud of that.
Very good. Yeah, it's a great story, and I want to dive into Our Ability a little bit too. But even before that, you talked a little bit about how you always viewed a career as your destination. That was the solution to many things. You mind talking about that a little bit? A little more?
Yeah, I don't. I grew up in New Hampshire, grew up to two hardworking people and a hardworking sister. And I realized that I wasn't going to be an athlete at, quadruple amputee. That wasn't going to happen. But what could happen is that the playing field could be leveled if I went out and was a professional. And so, somewhere around senior year in high school, I took high school seriously, took college seriously, and decided, okay, if I can't be a professional hockey player, why can't I work in the broadcast industry and be around hockey or sports or what have you? And so went to Syracuse University to study television, radio, film, and really fell in love with the media industry in the late 80s, early 90s, and wanted to go to work. And I realized work was not just work, it was independence. Independence with a disability is a big deal. Then to be able to afford to have a family, have a house, pickup truck, the things that I've got, and work is a big part of that. And then I realized, as you grow older, you realize, you're not alone, that there are other people with disabilities that want to be independent, and physical activity and employment are a big part of it. And that's a big deal for me.
Absolutely. That's a tremendous story. We talked, when we talked early on, where'd you get your confidence? I talked a lot about, I was involved with sled hockey and with sports after I was injured. And I felt, and Ottobock believes that too. It's a huge connection between, confidence with an individual with a disability and the next step, which is family, home, career, all that stuff. Where did you get your confidence early on?
I think, again, partly it's because I saw it in others. I saw it in family relationships, grandparents, parents, uncle. that work hard. My grandparents were dairy farmers, so you don't do anything except work hard if you're on a dairy farm,
Sure.
right? And I was a little bit jealous because I couldn't do the physical work that they did and wanted to do that. I was also a sports fan, and so I played Little League Baseball when I was a kid, but the Little League team told my dad I couldn't play anymore, and that was a hard moment for him. So he cut golf clubs down to my size and put golf clubs in my arms, and I started playing golf when I was 8 years old.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
so there's the first sort of physical instance where, all right, I may not hit the ball as far, but I can be somewhat the equal of others, right? And that taught me, okay, not just golf, not just school, but it can be college, and it can be friendships, and it can be career, and I've got to look at those positive moments.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know about confidence. I do exhibit some confidence, I suppose, but it's about achievement, and I wanted to be seen as almost the equal of others, and that's the way I would put it.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Going back to our ability, your organization's mission statement is, well, it states that you want to lower the unemployment rate for people with disabilities from 70% to 60%. 70% is an alarming rate and I get it. There are a lot of people with disabilities that don't feel that that's an option, a career, a job. How are you doing that?
That's a great question, Aaron, and it's so timely too right now with what's going on in our society today. The way we do it is we tell our story. We tell the stories of people with disabilities that want to succeed. We reach out to groups of individuals with disabilities that have members that want to be employed. And then we try to change the paradigm inside the business community to understand that there's a group of people that are willing to work, that want to work, that have the ability to do the job, and that's a key part, have the ability to do the job that they may not otherwise have thought about. And so, we work inside the grocery store chains in our area to make sure they understand that people with disabilities can be included at entry level. We work with banks in our area to work and let them understand that people with developmental disabilities, Asperger, autism, can work at a level in a financial community. We work in small manufacturing to get small manufacturers to remember that there are people with disabilities out there that can work in manufacturing. And then we work with the higher ed universe to let them know that some of your most educated individuals are people with disabilities because it's an easier path to education than employment, and to remember to hire our own. So we're constantly reminding the business community that we're here and that we're more loyal, long-lasting, and dedicated. There's some statistics that say people with disabilities will stay 7 times longer compared to their able-bodied brothers and sisters. And when you say that number, retention becomes a big deal. Yeah, it is. And so that's big for us. And especially now, after the 2008 market crash, we all struggled to get back to employment. And then you realize, wait a minute, people with disabilities struggled that much longer into 2011 and 12 just to get to the 70%, right? Yeah. And so we know that our time is really important right now. We've got to get people with disabilities employed now as they come out of this COVID crisis, because it's going to be immense.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of some of your partners, who are some of the companies that have embraced what you're doing? I mean, you've got an incredibly impressive portfolio per se.
Yeah, and I want to thank Ottobock for doing this, because you guys have been a great early partner, and we really appreciate it. Some of the other partners, from what we were supposed to do at South by, NASA and Microsoft, 2 huge partners for us. And then on a different level, we're working with Lowe's Home Improvement and their stores. We're working with KeyBank and M&T Bank and their branches. We're working with Price Chopper and Market 32 supermarkets with their 125 stores. We're working with Wegmans in their headquarters in Rochester and their other stores throughout the region. We've got some great partnerships. CVS Pharmacy, we have a great relationship with CVS Pharmacy. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, and I apologize to those that I'm forgetting. We've got great relationships, and we want to open more doors. And by opening more doors, more people get hired.
Absolutely. And you mentioned NASA, another panelist that was scheduled to be on our South by Southwest panel with Ottobock was QT out of Houston, out of the Johnson Space Center, and she had a really neat story. She's basically the liaison between the hiring manager, or between human resources and the hiring manager, making accommodations for any disability or ability individuals that are hired there. How engaged do you get with that once an individual are working with companies? You provide education on that as well?
Yeah, it depends what the company needs, and every company is a little bit different on the paradigm. We're trying to help companies whatever they need. So if it's just posting jobs and getting candidates in the door, fine. It's usually more than that, though. It's terminology, it's training, it's how to recruit, it's how to communicate with potential employees. So when I say terminology, it's internal terminology, it's training, your C-suite in your company or your middle managers or whomever. But it's also then getting the point person to be comfortable in speaking to somebody with a disability, regardless of the disability.
Sure.
So we're working at all levels, depending on what they want.
Okay. What are some of the roles, some of the positions? I mean, it sounds like it varies. You mentioned Lowe's and NASA, and what are some of the positions that you're posting or you're getting access to? Or
yeah, we've got about 50,000 jobs on our website right now, and it's anything. I mean, you're right. It's the one of the chief floor managers at NASA Space Control who's blind, right on down to bagging groceries at Wegmans, right? We got everything out there. And it's important to remember that people with disabilities are everywhere and are looking for opportunity, and we're try to include them in everything.
Absolutely. That's great. I love this. How does individual with a disability set up their profile? How do they find you?
Yeah, they find us at ourability.com, and at ourability.com you click on build a profile, and there it takes you through the steps of telling us who you are. This is not a resume upload, Aaron. We want to understand who people are. And what's exciting here in the next month or so, we're going to be enhancing that to communicate more directly with candidates that come onto our website through some of our partnerships and technology. But right now, go to ourability.com, click on build a profile, take a look at who we are, and tell us who you are. And that's what's really important.
Very good. So you're getting pretty personal with people to make sure you got the right fit made.
Yeah, we need to know who you are. And it's more than just what you've done, right? You're so much more than where you work. You are what your skills are. You are what your interests are. And that tells us a little bit more about who you are, and that helps us fill positions.
Very cool. Very cool. You are an entrepreneur with a disability, not only providing an incredible service, but showing the community what is possible through your success. So thank you for that. Are there any programs, grants through the government that individuals with a disability that want to start a business can take advantage of?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. And the simple answer is not enough. So what I had to do was, again, like finding a job, being unemployed after college, work 4 times harder. So I would urge every entrepreneur with a disability, any young person with a disability looking for grants or loans, reach out to as many organizations as possible and lean into the fact that you have a disability. Let them know that, because there are certainly more programs now than there ever have been. And for us to raise awareness on the other side that more of these programs need to exist, more of us need to stand up. Now, there are a couple organizations that really do well with entrepreneurs with disabilities. Disability In is a national organization. They have a business program for businesses owned by people with disabilities. I would urge people to get involved with the DOBE program at Disability In. Also, we've been working with the Burton Blatt Institute at Syracuse University to develop an entrepreneurship boot camp for people with disabilities and employment. And following that, there'll be some monies available as well. There are these programs that are popping up. And because we started this way, we try to get as involved with them as we can and help entrepreneurs that have a good business idea to move their business idea forward. and lean into the fact they have a disability.
Okay, terrific. Um, you've won some pretty cool awards over the years. I was reading up on you a little bit. I want to hear more about the White House Champion for Change Award. Was that 2017,
2014.
2014?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. One of the companies that we work with nominated me. I didn't really know it. I got an email and sort of ignored it, and then got another email, and they said, "No, this is really the White House, and you're one of the 10 winners." I brought my my two younger kids with me, my wife, and we went to the event. And Tom Perez, who's now the Democratic national chair, was the one that gave the awards out that day. That was wonderful. Got to photobomb Jenny Leigh Fleury, who's the chief accessibility officer at Microsoft that day too. My kids photobombed her on her award, so she won't let me live that down. What it was though was 10 like-minded individuals talking about how important employment is for people with disabilities. It humbled me at the time. It still humbles me, and it grounds me in knowing that this is my mission in life, and I think about that a lot, and I want to be able to achieve that mission.
Well, congratulations on that. And I know there's several other awards and credits that you've been given. So keep up the good work with that. Do you mind answering a couple questions we've had sent in before we go on?
Let's do it.
Yeah. We got one here. What should people with disabilities do when coworkers constantly put down their disability? That's a personal one, I guess.
Yeah. And that's a bullying question, and I get this at schools all the time when I speak to schools. You've got to do the very best you can and not listen to negativity, and do the very best you can on hanging out with the people that like you. And this is whether you're school age or adult or in business or what have you, or on Twitter. You got to put down and ignore the negativity.
Absolutely.
And go where the people that like you. So if
Yeah.
you've got one friend over here who's not putting you down, and you've got people over there that you want to like, but they are putting you down, they're not that important. Go with the people that love you. And it's really, really key. And honestly, the more you do that, the less those whispers will be out there, right? Because you don't feed into it either. That's very hard to do. Please trust me. It's very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
Try to ignore the negativity as much as you can.
And social media is such a positive tool when it's used to communicate like we're communicating today, but it can be a problem as well, and really an easy source for that kind of abuse. So maybe put that away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, put that away a little bit. I want to hear, well, at Ottobock, we continue to stress the importance of being active. And you've shared a little bit about your hand bike, and I see you smiling because it's probably a passion of yours, like it's a passion of mine. You've done some modifications to fit your ability. Are you riding by yourself? Are you with a group, or what are you tackling?
Yeah, so about somewhere in 2012, my wife challenged me to get out on a hand cycle. Wasn't anything I'd ever thought about before. As a matter of fact, biking was something I never thought I could do. But after the Paralympics and watching the Paralympians, realized that there are 3-wheel recumbent hand cycles. Got a chance to sit on one, and that sort of changed my life. I realized that I can bike too. So I ride a 3-wheel recumbent hand cycle. And when my wife challenged me to try it once, it really became, hey, why don't we do something big? My wife's a marathon runner. She hikes all the mountains in the Northeast. And so she said, why don't we do the Erie Canal Path? And so I said, I'm not doing 300 plus miles on a hand cycle. That's not happening. But I started to train. And early in my training, I realized I couldn't really grip the handlebars. Now, when I was a kid, up until 7th grade, I wore prosthetics. I had 2 arms, 2 legs, and remember very vividly getting fitted for them and dealing with them. But I decided to reach out to some prosthetic people and figure out, could I do something to hold on to the handlebars? And so met great technicians and locally who fitted me with cups that I just put my arms in these suction cups, and they are the grip on the handlebar. That changed everything I do. I can average about 10 miles an hour on stone dust. Allowed me to do that first year crossing New York State, and we've done it every year since, 300 plus miles. So
300. Oh, wow. Okay.
As much as I like golf, and I love golf too, cycling is right up there because it keeps you physically active. It gets you outside. And for us, it's a great opportunity to meet other people with disabilities.
That's fantastic. And I love it too. I just picked up a bike about 5 years ago, and it just opens up a whole new world that you and I didn't have prior, you know, that I didn't realize there were miles of trails and through the neighborhood other than what the kids and the family has told me about them. But to be able to get out there, it's become really a passion of mine. And you're right, that physical activity. Last month in one of my sessions, I talked about hand biking a little bit, and I've looked into our local therapy groups and organizations that actually rent out hand bikes. So if there's people out there that there's a barrier to access per se for something like that, make sure you call the therapy groups and ask them about some of the equipment that they might have.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge. Yeah. We so much so that finally, after 8 years of doing the handcycle trip, there are adaptive sport organizations in Buffalo and Rochester and Syracuse and through to Albany that we see every year that are finally bringing out bikes for people to try, that are letting their community know that we're going to be out there on that day. Because we know, listen, if you get out and do 1 mile, you're going to do a lot more than 1 mile. It's going to be good for your soul, good for your physical strength. And we want to get more people out there and active. And so that was the whole reason why we started it. And we don't want to give it up. We want to have more people try it.
Fantastic. I want to talk to you more about that off the record here, but I want to take a trip and actually incorporate biking into that trip. So you're obviously doing it. So going back to our ability, what's the future look like? What the technology, you know, we see technology being infused, incorporated into the mobility products that Ottobock provides, and what it's doing to the world, people like me and you that depend on products, and what on your side of things at our ability, what is technology doing to help you out and help out people like me, individuals with a disability that are looking to shake a hand?
Yeah, you know, prosthetics are a great analogy for what we can do with technology in every other instance of life, right? And we're on, you know, I'm on my cell phone, trying to use my iPad, right? There's technology that's leveled the playing field on a work basis. That's great. You know, now we need to take technology into the other elements of everything we do, which is why we're concentrating on the employment process. So we know that we're 70% unemployed, and we know businesses don't know how to communicate. Let's use technology to bridge that gap. And so the next generation of our ability is to continue to build our tech to do a better job in matching people to jobs, do a better job in recruiting people to come and let us know that they have a disability. And so to build that tech up in a way that is seamless in helping individuals with disability find employment. And then take that tech and teach LinkedIn, teach Indeed, teach Google, teach Microsoft, who they know the tech part, but they need to know this part of disability, right? And so to work with them to enhance this conversation. So that's the horizontal view of it. And then the vertical view is, listen, there are people with disabilities that can code as well as anybody else. So to create a vertical element of our ability that has people who are blind and deaf and Asperger's and autism and amputees that do the coding, that do the work, and build the tech company that's profitable, that builds technology from the point of usability and having people with disabilities lead that. That's where we're going. That's our 2 steps we're going to take.
Yeah, oh, that's fantastic. What else do you want to share about our ability?
We're here. We're still alive in this time of COVID. We're excited about the years ahead. Like the rest of the world, we're nervous about what's going on now. It puts our bike trip in jeopardy. It might delay it. It might move it to next year. We don't know. But you know, we understand the struggle for our community, and we want to be here to help, and we're proud to do that. And so if you're out there and you've got a disability and you're watching this, and you have a question, whether it be about employment or something else, shoot me an email, send a message through Facebook. Happy to answer it, and that's why we're here.
Very good. And we're going to post your information on online here too, how to get hold of you. But Ottobock works to restore and improve independence in people's lives, restore and improve confidence. And you're doing the same thing. You're certainly sharing our mission, and that confidence and independence that comes with that job or with that career is incredible. And we applaud you for your efforts, and everybody at Our Ability who's making this happen, making this available to the community. So thank you very much. And thanks for sharing your story and your organization with us today.
Aaron, thank you, and thank Ottobock. And know that, you know, this prosthetics as a kid led to some of that confidence, and certainly the hand grips that I have on my bike definitely do. So you guys do God's work too, and congratulations on that.
Thanks, John. Be safe, be healthy, and we'll talk to you soon.
You as well, Aaron. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.